Hello, this is my very first entry into the YouTube planner space and I'm very excited about it. So today I thought that I would come here and talk about my planner journal journey over the past year. 2025 was the first year that I consistently used a journal, used a planner. And you know, we had some breakthroughs, we had some fails, and I just wanted to talk about it before I ventured into saying what I would use for 2026. So I guess this will kind of be a reflection of sorts. So I have notes here on the side so I don't get lost, you know. First, I want to talk about my journey to journaling. So prior to last, I wouldn't want to say September, I did not have a consistent journaling habit. If I wanted to write stuff down, I would maybe formally write down a journaling, write in a journal, a random journal that I might have had for years, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And it was really if I had like some heavy feelings that I wanted to get out on paper. For planning, I didn't really do that. I would write like to-dos down on sticky notes, random scraps of paper, but that was kind of the extent of it. But now, September-ish, maybe October, that's when things kind of shifted for me, which makes sense because that is Hobonichi season. I was watching a vlog from a YouTuber, booktuber named Spicy Cats Reads, and she was briefly talking about moving from her Hobonichi cousin into a hone. And so she spent some of that video like decorating and stuff. And honestly, I had no idea what language she was speaking in, but I was intrigued. I refrained from going down that rabbit hole though, because I didn't have any space at the time in my house. I kind of don't still, but that's neither here nor there. Didn't have any space, so I refrained from going down that rabbit hole because I knew that this would likely be a hobby that would require storage and a desk. That's something I didn't also say. I didn't have space and I didn't have a desk. 2 things that you would need to, you know, start a journaling habit, I would think. So I waited until I got a desk, which was kind of like the end of September, mid-October, I don't really remember. Right after I got that desk, I allowed myself to look at Hobonichi videos, look at people's hauls, and get an idea of like things that I think I might want to use for 2025. So here I have the stack of planners, journals, whatever that I used throughout the year. I will start with what my intention was. So we're gonna peel things away. In 2025, October 2025, when I made my Hobonichi order, this was my intention. And you'll see how this was flawed in just a few moments. So my plan was to use this A6 Techo as an all-in-one planner and a journal. I thought that the A6 was just a smaller cousin. So I said, okay, bet, let me use the vertical weekly section. You know where, you see where I went wrong. Let me use the vertical weekly section for my daily to-dos and then the daily section for journaling. The weeks was going to be a hobby journal log tracking for whatever hobbies and media that I was consuming at the time. I did not realize that this week's did not have a weekly section. I did not know that if I wanted to use this the way I needed to, I would have had to purchase a weekly supplement. Found that out when this came in and I was flipping through and I was like, oh shoot, there is no vertical weekly. So I pivoted and I said, okay, this can still be a daily journal. I'll shift to make this my planner. And so that left the question, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in terms of hobbies, in terms of tracking? Because that's something I was really interested in doing. In came the travelers. So I decided, instead of just buying the vertical insert, like a smart person, you know, a less impulsive person would have done, I bought a whole traveler's notebook to try out the vertical format, the vertical weekly format for hobby journaling, logging stuff. Really, I either could have just bought a blank insert and done what I needed to do, or just the insert. But you know, what's done is done. I wanted to go all in, basically. And then the last thing, because this this A6 Techo doesn't start until January 1st, this was like mid-October, I wanted to start journaling right then and there. So I purchased this Stalogy, and I wanted this Stalogy to be used for daily journaling. Up until January 1st, I didn't have much intention of continuing this past that point. I just wanted to try something. Again, now me would have probably just purchased another traveler's insert to fulfill this temporary need of like 6 weeks of journaling, but whatever. I like experimenting with things, so I'm not like mad that I did this. Okay, so I'm gonna start by talking about the A6 Techo. And I want to talk about the successes and the, I guess, failures of my main intentions, and then I'll go into the additions that I made throughout the year. Okay, so this is my A6 Techo. I should say the first failure, I was going to start with successes, but since we're here, first failure was the cover. I don't know where the original cover I purchased was, but I was in that state of just like excitement, and the color I bought immediately after, I was like, why did I buy this? If I can't find it, then I'll insert a picture. It was like a blue with a pink inside, and I'm just not sure why I made that decision for myself. Maybe like this color blue, but a little bit brighter. I don't know, but I was a bit confused by that decision from me, and once I got it, I was like, oh no. So funnily enough, when I got my Hobonichi order in mid to late October, this was back in the days when, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal to just order from Hobonichi, because like, even though shipping was $30, the items were priced lower if you bought them directly from Japan. And it either evened out, or if you're buying enough stuff, it was actually cheaper to just pay the $30 shipping instead of buying them marked up here in the United States. However, if you only wanted one item, then just buy it marked up. That's neither here nor there. So I bought a cover I didn't like. As soon as I got it, I was like, absolutely no. I drove then to Houston. I'm based in Texas. I drove to Houston after receiving that cover to get a cover I actually wanted. And I also, of course, like bought other things, but when I tell you I was invested and I was in it, I was in it. Okay, so this is my A6 Techo. This sticker, I'm probably not going to go over like every single deco sticker thing that I have. I also don't have like that many on things, but this is a sticker from my friend Coda Creative Co. Please, God, let me say her company right. My goodness. Yes, Coda Creative Co. Thought this was hilarious. And then I have a sticker back here. This is, if you can't see it, then I'll put it on the screen or in the description. Scam art, I think. Okay, but this is it. I got some random stuff here that I usually don't even reference, and I forget that I have. Yeah, we're not going to explore every little bit. So first, let's talk about the successes. I was fairly consistent in this journal. I enjoyed the paper. I don't have any experience with what the past Tomoe River paper was like. So this first time I enjoyed this paper. The Weeks is a different story, but this is cute. This was a good experience paper wise. And then I really enjoy flipping back through this. I do. So overall, I did enjoy keeping a daily journal. We'll go through each of the sections though. So, oh, more stickers. More stickers. Never came back here. You can see I wanted to show my mood. Oh my goodness. I wanted to do my mood for each day, and let me tell you, after the first day I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not gonna work. These were my goals for the years. I didn't come back to this, so I can't say how successful I was. We're not even gonna talk about that. I didn't use this. I don't feel any type of ways that I didn't use this. This was December. I was trying to figure out what I felt about this. I wanted to plan workouts and stuff here. That wasn't very consistent. I realized very soon that that wasn't going to happen. And then I started trying to see if I could draw and write highlights of the day. I got this corn cake from an amazing panaderia in my city. Oh my God. If you know, you know. This is cute. The thing about it is I didn't keep up with it. I did not keep up with this. I'm also just not I'm not a very good artist, I would say. And it's not to say I think any of this is ugly. It just doesn't come naturally to me. So it takes me a very long time to like think about what I'm going to draw for each day, what colors work well together. That's it. It just takes me a long time. So like as a whole, I do like how this turned out, but just extremely inconsistent. Revisiting classics, I watched Princess Diaries again for the first time in like over 10 years. It holds up. We did have some memory issues. I was saying that holds up. The reason why this is red is because I was experiencing some really irritating technical issues with my photo printer, and it would only do the yellow and the red pass. It wouldn't do the blue and the like final film. So like I just gave up. Yeah, nails were cute. Oh my God, first set of the year. My nail tech was she was cooking. Yeah, and it slowly starts to deteriorate. Like I do like see, I intended to go back and do some watercolor, did not do it. This was a horrific week. So it is nice to like look back, but it wasn't consistent. I wrote stuff because it took me so long. I would just write stuff in pencil, and then I meant to go back and like draw something about it, color something, and it just never really happened. I started putting just like stickers from stationery shops, because I didn't know where else to put them. But yeah, while it lasted, that was like cool, but like not consistent. I flagged some pages that I feel like are safe to show of like cool spreads that I liked. Like this is one of my favorite spreads. I liked that I put, you know, my grocery list, and I liked the way the pen, I think I was using a Sailor pen here. I didn't love the ink, but yeah, I made like a tortilla soup, and then I had this from like this was a stamp on an envelope from somebody's Patreon mail that I got. I'd eaten white rabbits this week. Like this, I really, really like this spread. What else? Yeah, this was my birthday week. So wrote about my day. I went to a nice bakery, got my nails done. Oh, this wasn't my birthday week. Whoa, I should read what I wrote. Regardless, this was the set I was going to be wearing for my birthday. Anyway, when the inspiration struck to draw, I drew. What else? Most days, this is what my spreads look like though. A lot of times without even a sticker. Piece of washi, writing. Washi, writing. If I just wanted to get through it, not that it was a chore to do, this is how I would decorate it. So like, I liked this a lot and liked having a space to consistently go and just say like, hey, here's where I'm doing my writing for the day. The thing I didn't like about this is the page size, not the space, because I think this is a sufficient amount of space for writing. It's the page size for me. Like, why? As soon as I get not even a quarter of the way through the page, okay, well, I might be exaggerating, but you know, I get, a third through the page and my hand is already off. My hand is off. That's uncomfortable. And I know there are things that I can do to mitigate that. I can put a notebook here so that my hand stays on the same level. I know there are things that I can do. I just don't want to do them. So that was so annoying to the point where I have decided to use something else next year. Who knows? I might get into next year and be like, I miss my A6 Techo, and then I decide to be in that for 2027. Regardless, I want to experience something new. This was a success in that I was consistent in a journal for a full year, and I love that. However, I want to try something new. I want to try something bigger, not necessarily for writing space wise, but for the comfort of writing. Now I will go on to the weeks. And this is where, anyway, I'll just start. So this I used as a planner for 2025. The positives. The calendar really saved my entire existence. I really thrived with a calendar. I liked writing down my appointments. I liked writing down events that I wanted to go to, therapy appointments, things like that. I enjoyed that. I also got into the habit of writing down my workouts and activities. This started because I take a lot of classes, not just like going to the gym. I take a lot of classes, so I will tend to forget which classes I've signed up for. I might accidentally end up double booking myself for stuff. So to keep track of the classes that I've signed up for across the like studios that I visit, I needed to write them down. Because of that, I started logging down here the days that I was active. I started off just doing days that I was active, but as you'll see, there are days where I'll do 2 things in a day. Like this day, I went to the gym in the morning and then I had a PM class. Technically, it was one day, but I also want to document that, like how many hours were spent like working out. So I have a little graph here to log how much time I'm actually spending working out on these days. So this was, let me not say consistent. I enjoyed doing this and I really liked having a space to track all of this stuff. I do kind of like fall off a little bit. You'll see this wasn't as busy as a month Yeah, I do kind of fall off. I got these stamps and I tried to use them to track stuff. But then it got a little confusing because I couldn't tell when I was using it for like payments versus when money was coming in. So, you know, we're still figuring out that process. But yeah, I do fall off. Like you'll see that, you'll see I did write down my workouts. I stopped highlighting them. I didn't track them. I just, so it fluctuated, but for the most part, really loved having a calendar. This is how I was using the weeks for most of, well, I won't say most, for the start of the year. I had this extensive tracker for hobbies, for habits, chores, things like that. And then a small section at the bottom for notes. The left-hand side, I would write my like specific to-dos for that day, and then any highlights of the day. And here's what I'll say. So this is cool. Love this sticker. This is from the Wednesday company. Or is it the Wednesday Co? I can't remember. It's on Etsy. This was cool, but again, something I just like was not consistent in. And I don't know. It wasn't jiving. I tried to take this like on the go with me and it just wasn't jiving. So I kind of switched it up. Tried to see like, oh, maybe I want to write like what I'm eating each day, because that can kind of like help me remember like what happened that day as well. But I don't know. I also tried using a different colored pen this day and it was an absolute no. It was an absolute no. And this just wasn't enough space. It wasn't enough space, especially using this pen. I don't really like the way this looks. Ooh, I tried something else different. I honestly really like the way that this looks. I started making these like shapes and I would put my to-dos in the shape, and then I wrote like a little like recap of the day. This, I don't know what it is, but I really like this spread. Really like this. Still did my little tracking. Some days I would forget. It was similar thing. I kind of had the pressure of like changing the shape that I put my to-do in each day. So yeah, this time it was clouds. Halfway through, I was like, ooh, what if I wrote to-do, wrote the to-do in cursive on the cloud border. Thought that was cool. But again, you'll start to see that I just like trail off with this. I try doing different things. I try like, oh, what if I write about songs that are stuck in my head that day? So I use this column for any songs that are stuck in my head. This I was then using for 3 highlights, or just three like highlights of that day. Could be good, bad, neutral. And then doing like a recap of the week. This wasn't, the birds are going on. Yeah, was not consistent with this. Went back to doing a combination of what I was doing at the beginning of the year. So tried to keep up with the song 3 Good Things, and then habits, to-dos. I soon fall off. I also want to mention at the back here that I started off the year thinking that I would do weekly recaps. This lasted for maybe a month. They look really nice though. It just, see the nails? It just wasn't consistent. Anyway, so weeklies, I don't know. And then in September, I'm watching a video about different ways to use the weeks. And I see a video, I can't remember who the person's name is, but if I remember, I'll put it on the screen or something. She had like 4 different weeks, and she was going through how she used them each year. One of the years, I don't know if it was like for insurance purposes or what, she used it as like either it was like an outside time tracker or like activity tracker for her insurance. And so in this column, she had how many hours, how much time she spent outside, and then like had this general summary on the right hand side. I could be totally misremembering it, but this is how I absorb the information. So I decided that I would use this to track my knitting. I started learning how to knit in May, and really ramped up my knitting in August after I started one of my my second project. And yeah, I enjoyed this. I don't know what it is about this that I just really enjoyed. There's no stickers, no color. It is purely just information about my knitting. For the first week of using this, I went and tallied up the time. This I did not do every time. Honestly, this is the first time that I did tally it up. You know, maybe at the end of the month, I could see myself going back and tallying it, but to do this, to tally it up every week, I just couldn't do that. So I have been fairly consistent with this as a knitting tracker. The empty spaces don't like bother me that much. And yeah, we had a week. Yeah, this was, I was traveling this week. Like, I just didn't track anything. I'm really bad at remembering to start the timer when I start knitting. So a lot of the times I just don't know the time, or I approximate. And that's fine. I just like seeing the updates that I made. This is the one time I put some type of ephemera. It's not something I really do in here. Yes, this was working for me. This is working for me. So I'm happy that I finally found a way to make the weeks work. It wasn't good as a planner for me. And I think part of the reason why is maybe I just had a lot of pressure. I felt like to make this look nice, to have a setup each week, and it was too much work. I couldn't be consistent. I just couldn't be bothered. So using this as a tracker, using this as a knitting tracker and knitting vlog was really successful, and I do want to carry that into 2026. One last random thing to talk about. I was also like tracking my workouts back here. It became a little overwhelming, so I stopped, but I would write reflections on like my workouts, my handstands, aerial stuff, and it was cool, but didn't last long. Now we'll get into my travelers. Really love the charms that I've developed here. I got these two from a seller. I think their name is Lux and Lowe's. They do have an online shop. They sell jewelry, and like they curate lots of charms, and when they do pop-up markets in the city, you can go there and like create your own bracelets, necklaces, jewelries, whatever. On her website, she really just has like completely made stuff, but if you catch her at a market, you can find these things and put them all together. So I put an S, my name is Stephanie, and then 1 because it's my first travelers. Don't know if I'll have any more, but it's nice to mark the first one. This koi, beaded koi, is from an artist named Zayanin. And I'd been following her for like 6 months, and then she finally had a drop, and I purchased this among like a couple of other things. So beautiful. Yeah. So this is it. There's really no point in opening this right at the moment because this is what my initial intention was for this Travelers. I was going to use it as a media log. This is for the second half of the year. This is the first half of the year. We'll start with the first because that's the one that I really have the most stuff in here. And I don't have too much to say. The reason why I feel like this wasn't supremely successful is just because I had a very large reading slump this year, and my hobbies and media consumption was extremely inconsistent. So my first mistake really was using a dated format of anything to track my hobbies. Aside from knitting, because I do knit every day, but hobbies that I know that I'm quite inconsistent with. So when it comes to this media log, I had some lofty goals. But overall, this wasn't a huge success just because I didn't read consistently. I didn't consume media consistently. I had an idea to do like a collage type of thing with books that I was reading. This was a lot. This is so busy. I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. You'll see that I did that for 3 days. And then I soon realized that this is just not. It's a bit chaotic. Oh, whoa. Why is that there? Huh? May 2025. Anyway, I write an entry for each day about what I've read. And I do like looking back at this. But again, since I did something that was daily based and I wasn't consistent in it, there's just a lot of space. Started watching some anime, reading Apothecary Diaries as well, and loved this. Just inconsistent. So if I'm ever going to do something like this again, it's going to be in an undated format, likely just a grid TN. Throughout the year, as I said, had some real struggles with the Hobonichi Weeks as a planner. So I experimented with a lot of other things. One of the things that I experimented with was using the TN as a planner. And this is something I did like once during the summer and then revisited again in the fall. And in the fall is when it really stuck because I decided to take this on a trip, a work trip, and use this as an all-in-one. And so I was going to Kansas City and I wrote down all the places that I wanted to visit. I used to live in Kansas City, so there's like a lot of places I wanted to make sure I went to. And I just said, use this as paper. It is paper. Use this as paper. Make your lists. Help yourself remember things. Like, use it as it needs to be used to be as functional for you as possible. And that is when this really started working for me. So this is when I was in Kansas City. I then kind of, you'll see it's looking quite similar to how I was using the weeks. I do have some type of habit tracker here, but I allow myself to be a bit more messy than I was letting myself be in the weeks for whatever reason. And it's working here. I had the wrong week, by the way. This is not written well. But yeah, this is like cool. This is really, really cool. And I enjoy using this as a planner. So I fully intend to use this as a planner next year. I have a monthly here now. This is the 2026. It's so messy, my God. This is the 2026 diary monthly because like I said, I love a monthly. And then I've got a sticker insert, like sticker release paper. I put this in here because of traveling, but I don't know that I will keep it here. And then just a bunch of like stickers that I stuck in here. It's not nice. Like, I won't say it's not nice. Like, I love this thing, but it's not like, it's not organized very well. So yeah, this is my travelers, and it ended up being successful. And even though it was very impulsive of me and not necessarily the wisest thing for me to buy, I'm happy I have it. Last thing, because I'm still following a somewhat format here, some type of order. This is the Stalogy that I was using for the first, like, the last 6 weeks of 2024. And I really liked this for the time that I used it. I didn't really go through and see what pages I could even show. But this, I mean, if I can't show it, then this will just have to all be blurred. Like, you'll just have to trust me. I liked how much I was able to experiment here with formats. And I kind of realized that I could have just stuck in a blank, undated notebook for a journal for 2025. But I like experimenting with things, so like I'm not mad that I didn't. But this was a place like I had more inclination to like stick ephemera, stick random stuff in here. I don't know, I just didn't feel like super bound when I was in this system. I tried, or this notebook, I tried drawing in here. I just tried scribbling in here to like allow myself to like be loose. I started putting like washi labels here because I wanted to keep them. And that's it. Like, it was cool. Like, I really enjoyed my time here. I'll have to figure out like what I would use this for in the future, if I use it in the future. The only thing is I don't like the paper that much. It's like stark white. It feels wider than a Hobonichi, but maybe, yeah, this is wider than a Hobonichi. Hobonichi has a little bit of, I don't know, maybe it isn't, but maybe it's the size that makes it feel just like a big white page. Like, so I prefer cream paper, but like I could still get over that. The other thing, I don't love the way ink, fountain pen ink, performs on this paper. So those are the 4-ish things that I entered 2025 with. But like I said, I did acquire some things along the way. So this is a Stalogy. I don't know, is this an A5 Stalogy? I'm not going to flip through it because this, I realized that even though I do find the A6 to be like enough space for my daily journaling, if there was a day where I had just like a lot more heavy feelings that I wanted to go through, just a lot more to talk about, then I would go in here. And this is more like diary, unfiltered thoughts. Nobody should really see this. I don't want to be held responsible for the things that I say in here. It's allowing myself to feel the things that I feel, as irrational as they may be in the moment. A lot of the times I'll write stuff in here, be upset about something, and then like 24 hours later I'm like, wow, I was definitely in the wrong. So yeah, I got this sterling ink, liked this, still use this, and it will be coming with me in 2026. I got this M5. Why did I purchase this? I purchased this when I was going through it with my Hobonichi, and I wanted to try using this as a planner, an on-the-go planner. And what I will say is that it didn't really work as an on-the-go planner just because I didn't like printing these out. And I don't know if there was an update on my printer, but it got increasingly difficult to print out on these papers, these small pages, without getting a jam. So I just lost a bit of motivation to keep up with this as a planner. But I did like it for the, oh, don't see that. I did like it for the time that I was using it. I also tried using this to track some finances. And again, it was good while I used it, but because it became super tedious to print stuff out, I didn't end up keeping, up with it. I also liked having like a small calendar on the go. Something that is probably beneficial is that these are not dated. So if and when, usually when I didn't like keep up with a month, like see this goes from June to October, like it didn't feel like I wasted much because I did these myself. I'm really going all over the place with this, but something else I like is just having a future log of sorts to remind myself of things. So if I'm out and about and make an appointment and, you know, say I didn't have a Weeks with me, it's nice to have this to write down something, a future appointment. That is what it is. I also have just some like blank pages in the back that I tend to use to scribble on. But yeah, this, like I said, I bought this initially to just be an on-the-go wallet, or on-the-go, spoiler. I bought this to just be like an on-the-go notebook and planner. But I ended up starting to use this as a wallet, primarily because I lost my wallet sometime in the summer. Completely, just have no idea where it went. To this day, do not know where that wallet is. So I was able to convert this into a wallet, and I enjoy that. I enjoy having this as that. There's one more notebook that I have that I do not 100% know where it is. So I'm going to see if I can find it. If not, I might just like chat briefly about it. All right, y'all, this is the last notebook that I'm going to talk about that I acquired through 2025. That was not part of my original like 4 plan, or I guess you can say 3 if I don't count the Stalogy. I'm honestly not going to open this. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm going to open this, because this is like an on-the-go diary. I found need for this when I was working on an in-person job, and there would be days where like I really did have feelings at my desk and I needed to get them out. Probably not the safest to like carry a diary with you, because girl, if this gets in the wrong hands, but I did, and I needed it for my sanity, for my mental health at that job. And yeah, I'm almost done with it. I have maybe like 40 50 pages left, like around this many pages left. So I used it consistently. Even now, like I tend to use it if I'm like in bed and want to write something, but I don't necessarily feel like bringing up that sterling ink to write in it, or I don't want it to like be an entry in my daily journal. So yeah, this is it. So let's bring all the contestants back. This was my 2025 planner lineup, and I had a good time with this. I learned a lot about myself with regards to planning things that I prioritize. I learned to be a lot more reflective, helped me process my emotions, just having outlets and places to go to when I was feeling things, whether it be happy, sad, frustrated, whatever. So yeah, I'm excited to come back and talk about what I will be using in 2025. My plan is to probably come back and talk about that in 2025, like after I've already been using the stuff for a month or so, because I want to confirm that like, yes, these are good decisions that I've made for myself for the upcoming year. So yeah, thank you so much if you lasted this long. Thank you for watching. If there are any questions about like stickers that I have, where I got some of these items, just ask, and I'll answer those below. But yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.